Hey everyone and welcome back. Okay, in this tutorial I'm going to talk to you about the class list in JavaScript. So the class list essentially is an inbuilt property we can use, and what it is essentially is it will return basically the CSS class names of an element. So before we start talking about adding a class list, deleting and toggling a class list, first I just want to explain a bit more what it is, but then I want to show you what it actually looks like. For example, if I look here at our unordered list with an ID of European cities, it has a class here of blue text. So if I was to log out to the console, the class list for that element, and remember, we've taken the unordered list and we've put it into the city list variable. So if I was to log out, for example, console.log, we have our parentheses, and then if I say city list, i.e. the name here of our unordered list, and if I use dot notation and access the class list, that should return to me all of the classes, the class names on this element. So that's what it is. And we can use it to actually add a class, delete a class, and toggle a class. So let me just firstly show you what it looks like. So I'm going to say console.log, city list, dot notation, I'm going to access the class list. So all we're just doing is logging out to the console, the class list for our unordered list, which we've called what do we call it here? City list. Awesome. So if I save and refresh, we see here, we get this thing called the DOM token list. But what you'll notice is we have this blue text. So basically what it's saying is, okay, there is a class called blue text. Awesome. Now, you could, for example, add another class to this if you wanted. So for example, we could add the red text class as well. That will obviously override the value of the blue text, but let's just do it anyway. So if I just comma separate here and put in the red text class as well, so what will happen on page is the red class is overridden the blue text class, but you'll see here we have the blue text and we have the red text. Okay, so basically the class list will provide you with the names of the CSS classes, the styling classes essentially, that are currently on that element. Okay, so what I want to do is I was going to say remove red text, but actually I'll show you how you can add and delete. So basically, another thing you can do is you can actually as well say that you want to add, delete, or toggle. So we'll do add first. So for example, there's this uppercase text class. So let's actually add that class to our city list. So all you need to do is, to do this, you basically just take the element and then using dot notation access the class list and then whatever method you're looking to do. So for example, are you looking to add, delete, or toggle? Okay, so that's the format. So what we want to do is on our city list, we are actually going to use dot notation to access the class list, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say add, and this is an inbuilt method in JavaScript, and what we need to do is pass in the name of the class. Now we don't actually need to use the little dot there, okay, these essentially, you know, that kind of selector. Just copy the name of the class, okay, so that's all you need to do. So if we just paste that in here, what we will find now is if we were to log out this to the console, we've actually added that class. I can actually prove that to you, by the way, without logging out to the console. What you'll notice here is that actually the text is now gone to uppercase. So basically there's three classes now on this European cities. There's the blue text, which is now being overridden by the red text, and lastly we've also added our uppercase text class. So all three classes are now being applied. To prove that to you, I'll log this out to the console. I will say console.log city list, Dara, can you not spell? City list dot class list. Okay, and now if I save and refresh, we see here we're getting our DOM token list again, but we have the blue text, the red text, and the uppercase text. So this is the class list in JavaScript, but instead of just logging out to the console, you can also delete classes as well. So why don't we delete the red text class, because it's kind of annoying me. Red's a very aggressive color. So to do that, so obviously here what we've done is we've actually added a class, and what we'll do now is we will actually delete a class. So to do that, we can say CityList dot classList dot, and then we can do remove. Okay, so that should be remove, apologies. So you're actually removing a class. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to pass in the name of the class we want to get rid of, and that is the red text. Okay, so if we just paste that in there, inside of quotes, so opening and closing. If I now do semicolon, when we refresh, we should see here that the red class has been removed. The reason the text isn't blue, remember, is that we've actually just basically applied this class. Okay, so it's been overridden. Okay, okay, awesome. So then, what do we want to do next? Let's just toggle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these classes here completely. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to show you then the toggle. Okay, so the toggle is that how you can essentially toggle on and off class. So come down here, and I'm going to show you now toggle. But let's do it based on a user click. So when the user clicks on the button, we'll toggle on and off the blue styling. So if I just save and refresh, just to make sure we've gone back to blue here. We have not. Why is that? Blue text. We just save. We want to get this back to blue. Awesome. Okay. Let me just delete the other code I wrote here. Okay. So now what we want to do is I just want to write a function. So when the user on the change color, we basically go from blue to black and then black to blue essentially. Okay. So how we do that is as follows. On our button, so remember, in our index.html file, we have this button here with an ID of button, and what we've done is we've said document.getElementById button. We're using the document object model to grab the button from the DOM, and we've stored it in the variable button. What I want to do here is on our button variable add an event listener. So we'll say add event listener. What are we listening out for? We're listening out for a user click, and what happens when they click on the button? We're going to run a function. Okay, I won't do an arrow function today. And then what do we want to do here? Well, what we want to do is we want to get the city list, use dot notation. We want to access the class list, okay? And then what we want to do is we want to access the inbuilt toggle method. And what this will do is it will toggle on and off the class called blue text, okay? So if I now save and refresh, if I click here, we've toggled off the blue text class. But if I click the button again, we actually toggle it back on. Okay, awesome. So guys, that is the class list in JavaScript. You can add a class, you can remove a class, and you can also toggle. And if you want to as well, instead of saying CityList.classList, you could, for example, override the value of CityList up here. So you could say, so CityList is equal to CityList, i.e. itself, dot classList, okay? So just so you don't have to keep typing this out over and over again if you were to do that. And if you were to delete this, that should still work, because what we've done is essentially we've taken the class list of the city list and stored it in the city list variable, and therefore we're just toggling that directly there. So if I save and refresh, hopefully I don't embarrass myself now. If I click here, it goes to black and then back to blue. Okay, awesome. So guys, that is the class list in JavaScript. The class list will return the CSS class names of an element, and using the document object model, you can add, remove, and toggle classes. There's some other stuff you can do as well, so I encourage you to look into this in more detail yourself, if that's what you want to do. Okay, awesome. I'll see you in the next tutorial.